A one, a two, a one, two, three. Purple Rabbit's story tonight is Emperor Sutu.
Empress Sutuko is another traditional onryo of the sort that specifically haunts the imperial family. The product and victim of a complex web of political alliances and intrigues, his story is a fascinating reminder that even the top of the org chart, so to speak, life isn't any walk in the park. Although well known as a historical figure, Sutuko is even better known for turning into one of Japan's single angriest ghosts. After reading his story, it isn't hard to understand why. Sutoku's legend only continued to grow after his death. By the Edo period, some 6 centuries later, he was described as one of the top 3 most dangerous supernatural forces in Japan, the other 2 being a 9-tailed fox yokai called Tamamo no Mae and the legendary hard-drinking demon yokai Shuten Doji. While he is most definitely considered to be an angry spirit and not a monster, Sutoko is a perfect example of the grey zone that exists between yurei and yokai in Japan. Sutoko was ostensibly the child of the Emperor Toba and his official consort Fujiwara Soshi, though a good deal of circumstantial evidence indicates that he was actually the product of an affair between Sochi and Toba's father, the former Emperor Shirakawa. Although Shirakawa had relinquished the reins of leadership to his son, he kept a stronghold on power behind the scenes. Young Sutoku represented one of his prized pawns in his Game of Thrones. Once Sutoko reached the ripe age of 5, Shirawaka ordered Toba to abdicate. Normally, Toba would be named regent in this sort of situation, but in times of old, a father always outranked his son, particularly when said father was a former emperor himself. Toba seethed from the sidelines as Shirawaka manipulated the new child emperor to his own ends. Even by the torrid standards of Heian politics, it was a bitter pill to swallow. And so, things remained until Shirawaka's death 15 years later. Taking a page from dear old dad's playbook, Toba used his newfound parental seniority to force Sutoku to accept Toba's own 4-year-old son Konoe as an adopted child. Sutoku readily agreed. Adoptive parent or not, the rules of succession stated he would be named regent when Konoe eventually took power. But Toba had another trick up his sleeves. When Konoe took the throne that same year, Toba forced Sutoku to sign a waiver stating that Sutoku was actually Konoe's brother. Thus stripped of his parental authority, Sutoku could only watch helplessly as Toba took control of child Emperor Konoe from behind the scenes. Alas, Konoe was a sickly child, plagued with illness and misfortune. He died at the age of 14, seemingly paving the way for Sutoku to get his own son on the throne. But it wasn't to be. Konoe, grieving mother, swore that Sutoku had cursed her poor son to death, and Toba blocked Sutoku yet again, installing his 3rd son, Go-Shirakawa, as emperor instead. Saddened, with a family tree that looked more like a football play diagram than a genealogical chart, Sutoku had had enough. He launched a coup d'etat against Emperor Go-Shirakawa in an incident known today as Hogen Rebellion, but Sutoku was quickly defeated and the emperor banished him to the distant island of Shikoku as punishment. Sutoku took his fall from grace surprisingly well. He entered a monastery, devoting himself to religious studies. Over the course of many years, he prepared a set of 5 key Buddhist sutras copied out in exquisite calligraphy. He sent the text to the Emperor Go-Shirakawa as an olive branch, begging that at least the traces of my brush be allowed to enter the capital. The emperor deeply mistrusted the scrolls, convinced that Sutoku had imbued the sutras with curse of sorts that had felled Konoe years earlier, and so he refused the gift, ordering them returned in shreds according to some accounts. Seeing the scrolls again, Sutoku sank into a cold fury. He swore that his eternal soul would haunt the imperial family for all time, scrawling intricate curses in his own blood. Consumed body and soul by his hatred, his fingernails grew long and his hair longer. He spent the rest of his days vowing to bring the emperor and his lineage down to the level of the commoners. He died in 1142. He began suffering all sorts of misfortunes. Go Shirakawa's son and successor, Emperor Nijo, died at just 21, while massive fires raged through the city and insurrections broke out throughout the land. Famine followed. Then things got worse. In an ironic twist, Sutoku's earlier defeat in battle had set up the entire imperial court for its downfall. The rebellion sparked a rivalry between the Genji and the Heike clans, with the samurai wresting control of the country from the aristocracy in the epic battle of Dan no Ura in 1185. Within half a century, the imperial family had been reduced to mere figureheads. How had it all gone so wrong, so quickly? Pundits of the day knowingly point to a single reason: Sutoku's furious spirit.